Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Ali, Coram, and Ken Shreve here with a breakdown of the action in today's session, where we saw gains, and it looks like, Ken, a pretty strong finish, at least for the Nasdaq.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ali, when you're in a confirmed uptrend, you wanna see these late session buying, and we definitely got that today. It was sort of mixed and back and forth, sort of unchanged, but got a close for the Nasdaq up near its session high, and we'll talk about why in just a moment. But found three stocks to talk about today. The Adobe Max conference got underway yesterday in LA. That's a 3-day event. So I want to talk about Adobe, ADBE, which made a nice move today. Also in the enterprise software group, intelligence defense software firm Parsons, PSN. And finally, Lennox International in the same industry group as Modine Manufacturing. Let's see, LII is the symbol for Lennox.
Great. Well, we'll get to those three stocks, but first, let's analyze the major indexes. The Nasdaq today up 0.7%, the strongest of the day, followed by the S&P 500 up 0.4%, the Dow up 0.2%, and lower on the day was the Russell 2000 down 0.2%. So it seems like not only is the Nasdaq leading, but it seems like it's the mega caps, the Nasdaq 100, the couple of leaders that we've been seeing, maybe a little bit of broadening as of late. But what are you seeing on the index level here, Ken, and underneath the surface?
Well, definitely underneath the surface, alley, seeing growth stocks acting a lot better. There's no doubt about that. So we got the follow-through day last week on Friday, and yeah, growth stocks have definitely come back to life. We had a big drop in that 10-year Treasury yield yesterday, down about 14 basis points. Just checked, it's down another 9 basis points today to around 4.56%, and you can see that just the price chart of this 10-year Treasury yield kind of clinging right to that 21-day moving average. So it is a key support level to watch. Are we going to see that 10-year yield start to rally higher after finding support, or will we see a break below that 4.5% level? So it's anybody's guess, but UUP, also that weak dollar we've been talking about, a US dollar that was very, very overbought, has started to come in. That's helped growth stocks prospects. This also making a key test here of the 21-day moving average. So stocks. We had the Fed minutes came out today, and still showed the committee members. The majority of committee members are still thinking they may need to raise rates one more time by the end of the year. But I'll tell you, the CME Fed Watch tool, which just kind of gauges Fed funds futures traders where they see rates headed, they don't agree with the Fed. They think the Fed is done, and the market seems to be thinking the Fed might be done as well, even though we got some pretty hot wholesale inflation data earlier today. A lot of headlines today, my goodness. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, then we had wholesale inflation before the open that was really way hotter than expected. So the thinking maybe several weeks ago was that, well, the bond yields are going to spike and the market's not going to like that. But I think the market is just getting comfortable with the fact that the Fed may have engineered a soft landing here for the economy. That's still in question, but just looking at the way the market is acting here, there's some growing confidence, it seems.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then in terms of levels to watch here for the Nasdaq, a little bit of resistance yesterday at the 50-day line, conquered that today. So that's good to see. Let's also take a look at the S&P 500 above its 21-day line, and the 50-day is less than 1% away at this point. The Dow has been struggling a little bit more, but it's now getting up right around its 200-day line. Is it going to get above it? Is it going to hit resistance there? We'll have to see. And small caps, after a nice day of outperformance yesterday, gave back some today. And this, of course, is the most damaged area. But if we take a look also at QQQ, this tracks the Nasdaq 100, up 0.7% today. So matching Nasdaq composite numbers. QQEW, the equal weighted though, up just 0.2% here, Ken. So a little bit more weakness there. So it again seems like even if we are seeing improvement improvement in how growth stocks are acting. It seems like the best performers are the big names that we've been talking about this year.
Yeah, for the most part, I don't think I would put Apple in that group or ServiceNow, but definitely, the Metas, the Meta platforms, and the Nvidias. Two names that we have on leaderboard. I mean, both of these stocks are acting very well and showing, definitely signs of technical strength here. So again, it was a really good close for the bulls, no doubt about it. And we do have what I thought would be a very key reading on consumer inflation tomorrow. But judging by the way the market reacted to the producer price index today, maybe it'll be a non-event tomorrow. But we'll just have to see what the latest reading on consumer prices shows tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's also take a look at XLE here today, Ken. This does have heavy weightings in Chevron and Exxon, so maybe weighing on things here a little bit today. But what do you make of what we're seeing in the energy sector?
Well, Exxon took a hit. You mentioned this being one of the top weighted stocks in XLE, and Exxon was under some pressure today. They announced a big, acquisition, $60 billion. They're buying Pioneer Natural Resources, basically doubling Exxon's shale exposure in the Permian Basin. So, yeah, oil has gotten volatile. We've got this, terrible situation in Israel and the fighting with Hamas, and you can see the U.S. oil fund here, which basically tracks the price of oil, still kind of battling near its 10-week moving average here. So we talked about some decent oil stocks this morning on IBD Live, but just interesting to see XLE. It was the worst performing S&P 500 sector today, but again, like you mentioned, ExxonMobil probably had something to do with that.
Mm-hmm. Now let's go to Adobe, and you mentioned the conference underway. They're unveiling new AI tools that they have, Ken, and this stock up over 3% today in some volume. So a nice move here today for this software giant that is also an AI play.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, they have this Firefly, kind of a new family of generative AI models that they are quickly implementing into Creative Cloud. Inside Creative Cloud, well, your Photoshop and Illustrator. So, yeah, it's a 3-day conference that started yesterday, and obviously, market is optimistic about Adobe's. It's not a new foray into AI. They've been working on AI according to the company the past 10 years. So. Probably an early mover here, and I like the look of the weekly chart here. We're in a confirmed uptrend. The market tide is flowing positive, and you got a name like Adobe here with a relative strength line in new high ground, kind of forming, coming up and. Seems intent on testing that left side high. This is a flat base. Normally, you kind of see tight sideways trading when a flat base forms. This almost looks like a very shallow cup base, but I think the correction was only 13% from peak to trough. So good technical setup here. And it was kind of interesting, Ali. Nasdaq breadth was negative today. We had a nice close near highs, but decliners, outnumbered advancers again. So that's not a great sign. But
Right.
like I said, seeing a lot of good movers today, and Adobe was certainly one of them.
It certainly was. And we do like seeing that RS line blue dot and a couple of quarters here of accelerating bottom line growth. We'll have to see if Adobe can keep that up when it reports next. We do have some time until its next quarterly report, though, it looks like. So for traders who want to initiate here, it seems like what they need to be worried about this earnings season is comments from other software companies out there who maybe compete with Adobe or just in the AI theme, honestly, because that, NVIDIA earnings in May, that had a big impact on this run up that the stock saw at that time. So as earnings season for a lot of companies rolls around again, that's just something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Next week we've got Tesla, we've got Netflix, we've got Intuitive Surgical. Still a relatively light week. We got a bunch of financials reporting next week, but following week and the week after that is going to be very, very busy. So it'll be interesting to see what a lot of these large cap, techs have to say. A lot of them are trading very well here, maybe because of earnings optimism for the third quarter here.
Yeah. We'll keep tabs on that. Let's now take a look at PSN. So speaking of software, and this stock is at the intersection of software and defense and intelligence. So that's definitely in focus right now. The stock had a really strong day. PSN did on Monday and followed up today with a gain of 2.3% in some volume to break out of a base.
Yeah, arguably got an early entry Monday when you had that good solid move, a breakout over a trend line. But yeah, I like the way this is trading. I mean, it took a lot of time, to come down to its 50-day moving average, and then it found support, and it basically in a week's time is back up near the top of this base. So 57.49 looks like an actionable entry here. Parsons, has got a lot of positive qualities. You can see the acceleration in revenue over the past couple of quarters here. Growth has ramped up, and again, defense intelligence applications here. We talked about Booz Allen Hamilton, a consulting firm, also defense intelligence. That thing is up for several days in a row and acting well here. So again, defense intelligence market. So Parsons, I think, is PSN a name to watch here. This is a good example of just a nice flat base forming near the 10-week moving average, and with the market acting well, setups like this tend to work pretty well.
Yeah. Let's round things out with a look at LII. This is Lennox in the Building, AC, and Heating Products Group, which sounds like a snoozer, but Ken, this chart is definitely not a snoozer. And this group now is ranked 5 out of the 197 groups that IBD tracks. This one took a little while to turn around, but when it broke out at the end of April, it was off and running, and now maybe providing investors another opportunity here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Especially you look at in recent weeks, all those tight closes near the 10-week moving average as the base was forming. Now, let's see, Friday at the end of this week, I think this will qualify as a flat base. It was a very shallow pullback here. So I would look at that left side high as a legitimate entry point here. You're right. It's not a sexy industry group at all, but there are a lot of stocks with high composite ratings here. Honestly, looking at the fundamentals of Lennox, and you see the kind of the deceleration in sales in recent quarters, you got pretty decent estimates. So maybe there's going to be a little bit of a turnaround here. So I want to do a little more work on why the sales growth has been slowing so much. Earnings growth has picked up the pace over the past 2 quarters, and again, Modine is another real strong performer in this group. Probably fundamentals a little easier to wrap your head around here. But 2 strong stocks in a top-rated industry group breaking out. So LII, and also looks pretty good right at the top of a base that will be completed by the end of this week.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that 393 level, and we do have a downtrend line there. With a reversal happening on 10/6. That was the follow-through day. And now we've got earnings coming up in about 2 weeks here, Ken. So how is that taken into consideration for potential stock buys the closer we get to some of these earnings reports? 2 weeks, it does seem like for some stocks, it could be enough time to build a cushion. But we do know that the closer we get, the harder it is to build that profit cushion.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, we've said before on the show, we typically like to have a profit cushion of at least 5% headed into an earnings report. So if you're been nibbling at some stocks either yesterday or today, and recognizing that we're in a confirmed uptrend here, you definitely want to know when companies are reporting earnings. Like I said, earnings season is going to really start to pick up the pace next week, but the following week and the week after that, it'll be real busy. So just decide for yourself how much time do you have to build a cushion. I mean, we are in a good market environment here with the tide flowing positive. So if we can hold things together here, 2 weeks should be enough of a time for a stock to make some progress after a breakout. But going into an earnings report and you own a growth stock. And you're only up 1 or 2%. I mean, there have been some cases where I've had conviction in the stock. I've only been up 1 or 2%, but I've still trimmed the position and just held on to a little 2.5, maybe 3, 4% position, and just willing to take a shot. But it really just depends on the individual stock and how much conviction you have. So we're right at the start of earnings season here, so it'll be a little tricky, but I think we need to hang our hat on this confirmed uptrend. And so far since the follow through day on Friday, the price action has been pretty good. And underneath the surface, like I said, growth stocks definitely acting better.
Well said there, Ken. Well, thanks everyone so much for tuning in. That's it for today. We will be back with more tomorrow morning on IBD Live, and we hope you all join us, investors.com/IBD Live, for all the details on that. We will see you there, and we'll also see you right back here tomorrow at the close.